Okay, sir. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Psychiatric Society of Western Zone and the PG Psychiatric Education Committee, I welcome you all to the Scholarly Sunday Sessions, the fifth series, edition 2. Today's topic is extremely relevant to all the postgraduate psychiatry training residents, and it involves the OSCE, that is Objective Structured Clinical Examination, a newer method of practical examination. I, Dr. Dron Mandutia, Assistant Professor, Namo Medical College, Silvassa, will have the privilege of monitoring this session. Let me begin by acknowledging the office bearers of the Psychiatric Society of West Zone, uh, Dr. K.K. Mishra, sir, who is the president. First, may I invite our president, Dr. K.K. Mishra, sir. Sir, I request you to kindly share your thoughts for the session, sir.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Wish you a happy Shivaratri and belated happy birthday to Dron. And this is one of the all the subcommittee member, uh, Sushil, Pranjali, Radhika, and all those members of the PG subcommittee, and is one of the most active subcommittee of the West Zone, which has been very actively involved in all the programs for last 2 years. I'm seeing it, and it will be very beneficial for all the residents, and I have requested all the residents to join. And I know the Ritambara madam and Panse Smita will do a good job to go through you or to make you through the process of ASCII. ASCII has been used in the National Board of Examination for quite a long time, and now MUHs have started using the ASCII in the practical examinations. So ASCII is primarily as to skill based. What NB is doing actually, it is not much of skill based involved till now. So we have already recommended the National Board of Examination to make it a more form of skill based. So with this short brief, I'll request Sushil and Dron to carry forward the program, and Smita, Dr. Smita and Ritamra madam, both the being the experienced teacher and examiner, they will take you through the program. I wish you all the best and all the residents. Thank you very much. Good day.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind wishes to me and as well as for our future sessions. I would now like to request our PG Psychiatric Education Committee Chairperson, Dr. Sushil, sir, to address the audience.
Thank you, Dron. Thank you so much. I won't take much of your time. Dear students, everything is changing. So even the curriculum of MD Psychiatry is changing. So methods of assessment are changing. And OSCE is one of the method of assessment followed in many developed countries. And slowly it is entering into Indian subcontinent. Most of the teachers through medical education technology are trained in preparing OSCE stations and doing assessment with the help of OSCE stations. Last year, there was a discussion in Maharashtra that MD exams will be conducted through the OSCE method. So I remember I had contacted a registrar of Maharashtra University of Health Services, and they told us that we are implementing OSCE very slowly. So you can start orienting students slowly, and over the few years, the method of examination, MD practical examination, will be based upon OSCE. Why it is required? Because OSCE is more objective, student friendly, and a skill based type of the examination, and it would remove many biases which usually would happen in a earlier practical examinations pattern. Subjectivity will go down, and students would have proper assessment, objective assessment. So the purpose of this particular session is to orient you all. Here I mean orient all the students and the teachers who have joined regarding the OSCE, and slowly initiate such type of the examination in your department, at least in a part completion test, so that by the time you are appearing maybe after a year or after 2 years for your MD examination, and if you get a notice from the university that examinations should be conducted through the OSCE method, so this method will not be new for you and you will be already oriented for this. So wishing you all the best and wishing our moderator and the faculty all the best. I'm extremely thankful to Smita and Ritambara madam for taking out their time on Sunday morning, and I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for specifically highlighting why we have chosen this topic for today's session. I now would like to welcome our two esteemed faculties who have agreed to be there for today's session, and we really thank them for such a prompt response from them. First of all, I would like to welcome Dr. Ritambra Mehta, Professor and Head, Department of Psychiatry, GMC Surat. Ma'am has done her MD Psychiatry from BJMC Ahmedabad and has been held various posts, Assistant Professor, Associate Professor, and ma'am is currently the Professor and Head at GMC Surat. Ma'am has a keen interest in de-addiction psychiatry, women mental health, child and adolescent psychiatry, uh, and ma'am has published over 65 research publications. She has held, ma'am has also held this very various posts like the chair of IPS Research Subcommittee, Women in Mental Health Subcommittee, IPS West Zone Women in Child Mental Health Subcommittee, and she has been a member of a lot of other committees. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Good
Thank
morning
you so
to
much,
all.
ma'am. I would also like to welcome our second faculty for today, Dr. Smita Danse, ma'am, who is an associate professor at Department of Psychiatry, PGMC's PGI YCM Hospital, Pimpri, Pune. Ma'am has been currently instrumental in starting MD Psychiatry in the Postgraduate Medical Institute of Maharashtra. She has been the past president of Pune Psychiatric Association and a convener of IPS Women in Mental Health Subspecialty Section. She has been also been a chairperson of IPS Psychiatric Society West Zone Doctors Wellness Subcommittee, and she has total experience about 20 years in postgraduate teaching. Ma'am has about 20 publications in various index journals. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We will now begin with the proceedings will begin with the basic certain question answering, and following which there will be two videos from the PG students, and in between there we will continue with the discussion. Yes, sir. Yes. Yes. So, ma'am, I would like to put this first question to Dr. Ritambara, ma'am. So, ma'am, what do you feel? What, according to you, are the basic advantages of OSCE? And, ma'am, how do you feel? How much it is important and it is going to replace our traditional examination setup for MD psychiatry students?
Okay. Good morning to you all. Thank you for this opportunity. Well, many things are there on my PPT, but let me just start with this question. I got introduced to OSCE when I was in UK during the years 2004-5, and that was very early when in India nobody thought of this, and we were very traditional. Even today, I think more than 80% examinations are very traditionally taken. But I saw the advantages of these, that of course, as the name suggests, that this is objective. That means that all the examiners are actually on the same page. They're also assessing the student through the same lens, I would say, because there is a checklist and there are questions and there are markings which are very uh, detailed, kind of. We'll discuss it later on. So, and it is structured. A very specific task is given to the student, and it has a lot of scope also. Like OSCEs actually can be, we'll discuss gradually, but it can be based on MSE, small part like delusion, just elicit delusion or hallucination, to just check abstraction or memory. Starting from there up to some management decisions taken with the patient or the relative, the psychoeducation part. any such smallest or the small clinical scenarios can be taken by the OSCE. And so that is a very versatile tool, I feel. And it takes a short time, and every student may be given the similar exercise and small time, and usually examiners are only observers. Later on, they may interact. Nowadays OSCEs, there is a part interview also added sometimes, but it's a very good tool. But I still feel that it can replace the whole of practical examination. That is not the case. We'll discuss by and by then.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Dr. Smita, ma'am, what according to you are the main advantages of OSCE as compared to our traditional long case plus Viva examination, ma'am?
Okay. First of all, right now in Maharashtra, MUHS has kept it like Dr. Sushil said in the curriculum, but in the format right now, we have two long cases, one psychiatry, one neurology, two short cases, and then table viva, and then dissertation viva. So right now, OSCE in Maharashtra is being used as for part completion, or we are doing it at different departments, at our own departments and giving the stations. I think Dr. Ritambara madam will be going more into detail about how the OSCE stations are set up and things like that. What I would like to highlight is OSCE, it is like the name itself says, objective, structured, clinical
Examination.
examination. So right now, many times what we do when we are doing in MUHS examination, the short cases are kind of taken like that. That there is small part, the history is given to the students, and then they are asked to show the cognitive assessment of this patient, or show the delusions in this patient, or elicit the delusions. So like that, most of the OSCE stations, when they are there, it is usually 10-minute station, small information is given, and mostly the OSCE questions are based on history, either history taking, MSc different parts, or sometimes psychoeducation, or about counseling about lithium, clozapine, like that. Only small, uh, it's very focused questions which are there. So for that, the students will have to prepare a bit differently. I think that's why we have taken this session, that you have to be very focused when you're going to answer an OSCE question. You don't need to go into other details. If the question is about cognitive assessment, then you don't even need to think about the psychopathology or the history part. So here you will have to focus only on whatever it is, whatever the question has been asked, and within the 5 to 10 minutes that have been given, you have to do it. So it's very objective, and the examiners usually observe how you communicate with the patients and how you elicit the signs. So that way it's very objective. But traditional long case, it actually gives you an hour to do the complete history taking, MSc, do a formulation, and do a case management plan. So there are pros and cons of both the systems. In long cases, we look for more higher cognitive functions, like your own judgment about the case and how you interpret the findings. Whereas in OSCE, it is more based on skills set, or it is more competency based. Whether you have competency for cognitive assessment, whether you have competency for eliciting delusions. So like that, the preparation will differ when you are looking for long cases and when you go for OSCE. So that's what we will be showing in the videos, I think.
Yes, ma'am. So, Ridambara ma'am, will OSCE affect the scoring patterns for the students? So, will the focus be now more on ward and more on practical aspects rather than the normal training that goes on, ma'am?
See, OSCEs can be used, as Madam said, in two ways. One is a formative assessment, and another is a summative assessment. So, what are we looking at? I think ideally, OSCEs are a good method, a very good method to use for formative assessments. As in UG as well as in PG, of course, not much in PG, but as the NMC and other teachers are observing that things, examinations are becoming more knowledge based. So, there OSCE has a definite role that we can actually assess and also train our students in more clinical aspects. So that way OSCE has an advantage. Formative assessments we all must. NMC also says even for the PG that every quarterly they should be assessed and trained and given the feedback. So when the formative assessment is there with OSCE, you have a great scope of giving the feedback that what all things were done good, what was actually not so good, where the student can improve, etc. So formative assessment, yes, definitely it has a great role, and every department and every student must be exposed to that. As far as summative examination, as madam said and Dr. Gawande said, that many universities and many departments actually have not incorporated it. I'll also share one or two papers wherein Manipal Hospital, Dr. Samir Kumar Praharaj and others actually have incorporated OSCEs in the summative examinations. Even NIMHANS has done that. I have been part of the examination, and I have examined the students mainly during the COVID times, and even afterwards in 24 I went. They used, but it was only a part. I don't think that in summative examinations every part, that is all the 100% of the marks will be allotted to OSCE that way. As I said, it has some advantages. We actually are very focused and checking very particular aspects, and not only just a clinical aspect. That means the knowledge also has to be part of that. Through knowledge only the behavior is shown by the student, and even the attitude and the cognitive, other than cognitive domains, what we say skills and attitude domain also is very easily actually checked, but it is a very small part. And so we are not checking the holistic knowledge and domains of the student. So part, yes, definitely summative examinations also it is a very good tool, as I said. But formative assessment, I would say everyone must have it. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Dr. Smita ma'am, with NMC also focusing on the competency-based education, so should the professors and should the teachers start training the MD residents for this OSCE prior to appearing for their final exams? Like should be included in the training as well?
Yes, definitely. Like as teachers, we have always seen that we have to do 6 monthly assessment of the student. So either it is long questions, MCQs, and now OSCE has been added to that. So that will definitely be useful to assess the actual skills and competencies of the patient, of the students. So I think most of the many departments are using, but I think we should train students regarding that. So that will take time, but it is gradually happening, and many students who are appearing or preparing for MRC Psych are aware about it, that in the clinical assessment part it is totally based on OSCE. So there are many videos and circulated. I actually got to learn from our students who are appearing for MRC Psych. So, like that, internationally, it is a standard method of assessment, and gradually, as it is coming to our universities, we should definitely be aware of and should start training the students. And it can be part of 6 monthly routine assessments, and that should help students prepare for what kind of stations they will be having, and likewise.
Thank you so much, ma'am. With the permission of the faculty, I would now like to share the video for the first station, that is psychoeducation station. So we'll now look at our first OSCE demonstration video from the postgraduate students of NKP Sims and Lata Mangeshkar Hospital, Nagpur. This focuses on psychoeducation of a caregiver patient with schizophrenia and or alcohol use disorder. But in the particular video, I think there is a patient of schizophrenia. I would now share the video. We can continue with the discussion. So, ma'am, the questions and the answers are there in the video itself, following which I'll ask each of the faculty if they want to give any output or if they want to discuss any particular questions pertaining to the video.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Dr. Ved, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Just let me know if the audio is audible or not and video is clearly visible,
Yes, sir. Yes,
or
sir.
else you can share from your end.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Today we'll be demonstrating the OSCE station of psychoeducation of the relatives group of schizophrenia patients.
Is it okay? The audio is there?
Yes, sir. The video is lagging slightly, but audio is there. Sir.
Okay. Okay.
She will be the psychoeducator and these are the relatives of the patients of schizophrenia.
नमस्ते। जैसा कि आपको पता है कि मैं आपके पेशेंट की डॉक्टर हूँ, तो आपके पेशेंट को स्किज़ोफ्रेनिया नामक एक मानसिक बीमारी है, तो मैं आज आपको इस बीमारी के बारे में सारी जानकारी देना चाहती हूँ। ठीक है, तो अभी हम शुरुआत करते हैं। कई तरह की मानसिक बीमारियां होती है, जिसमें से एक स्किज़ोफ्रेनिया होती है। तो अब हम जानते हैं कि इसमें लक्षण क्या होते हैं। तो इसमें कई तरह के लक्षण होते हैं। एक प्रकार के लक्षण होते हैं जिसमें आपको मरीज अकेले में बात करते हुए दिखेगा, अकेले में हंसते हुए दिखेगा, मतलब आप देखोगे कि आसपास कोई नहीं है लेकिन फिर भी मरीज अकेले में बात कर रहा है, अकेले में हंस रहा है। फिर उसको लोगों पे शक शंका होने लग जाती है, उनको ऐसा लगता है कि कोई उनके खिलाफ है, कोई उनको हानि पहुंचाने की कोशिश करेगा या कोई उनके खाने में कुछ जहर मिला रहा है। तो ऐसे वो अपने आसपास के सारे लोगों के खिलाफ हो जाते हैं। तो इन तरह के लक्षणों को हम पॉजिटिव सिम्टम्स कहते हैं। दूसरे तरह के लक्षण होते हैं जिसमें मरीज कुछ भी बात नहीं करता है, एकदम अकेले अकेले रहने लगता है, खुद का ध्यान बराबर से नहीं रखता है, कुछ काम नहीं करता है, दिन भर बिस्तर पे लेटा रहता है, बहुत ज्यादा चिड़चिड़ करने लगता है। तो इस तरह के सिम्टम्स को हम नेगेटिव सिम्टम्स कहते हैं। तो जरूरी नहीं है कि आपके मरीज में इसमें से सारे लक्षण हो, पर जैसा कि आपको ध्यान में आया होगा कि इसमें से कुछ ना कुछ लक्षण आप दोनों के मरीज में है, बराबर। तो अभी हम जानते हैं कि ये बीमारी क्यों होती है और किस में होती है। तो ये बीमारी के दो कारण है, एक तो अनुवांशिक कारण जिसको हम जेनेटिक कारण बोलते हैं, उसके वजह से हो सकता है, और दूसरा कारण है अगर हमारे आसपास के पर्यावरण में कोई तान तनाव का माहौल है, जैसे किसी के कोई रिश्तेदार की मौत हो जाना, कोई अच्छा जॉब छूट जाना या किसी से कोई झगड़ा हो जाना, ये दोनों चीजों के मिलाप से ये बीमारी उत्पन्न हो सकती है। तो जैसा कि हम कभी कभी सुनते हैं, लोग कहते हैं कि किसी ने मेरे मरीज पे काला जादू कर दिया है इसलिए उसको ये बीमारी हो गई है, या उसने बुरा पानी पी लिया है इसलिए उसको ये बीमारी हो गई है, बुरी हवा की वजह से ये बीमारी हो गई है। तो ये सब ऐसे नहीं होता है। क्या होता है, हमारे दिमाग में कुछ रसायन होते हैं जिसको हम केमिकल कहते हैं। ये जो अनुवांशिक कारण और जो तान तनाव के कारण मैंने आपको बताए, उसकी वजह से कभी कभी कुछ मरीजों में क्या हो जाता है कि जो हमारे दिमाग में रसायन होते हैं उसका बैलेंस बिगड़ जाता है। तो इसकी वजह से ये सारे लक्षण हमको दिखाई पड़ते हैं। तो ये किसी में भी हो सकता है, जैसे शुगर, बीपी, दमा, थायराइड, ये सारी बीमारियों की हम दवाई गोली लेते हैं, ये सारी शारीरिक बीमारियां होती है। वैसे ही ये मानसिक स्किज़ोफ्रेनिया एक मानसिक बीमारी होती है। तो अभी हम देखते हैं कि इसमें हम ट्रीटमेंट कैसे कर सकते हैं, मरीज का इलाज कैसे कर सकते हैं। तो अभी हम समझते हैं कि इस बीमारी के ट्रीटमेंट में क्या क्या हम कर सकते हैं। तो पहली चीज होती है दवाई गोली, बराबर। तो हम पेशेंट को देख के डिसाइड करते हैं कि हम कई सारी दवाइयों में से आपके पेशेंट के लिए कौन सी दवाई यूज करेंगे। तो दवाई में आपको ये बहुत अच्छे से ध्यान में रखना है कि जैसे हम बीपी शुगर की दवाई लेते हैं वैसे ही इस चीज की भी दवाई लेनी है। लेकिन इसमें क्या होगा कि आप कुछ समय तक जब हम मरीज को दवाई देंगे, उसके बाद जैसे जैसे आपका मरीज दवाई पे ठीक होता जाएगा, उसके बाद कई लोग सोचते हैं कि क्योंकि अब मरीज ठीक हो गया है तो अभी हमको दवाई बंद कर देनी चाहिए। लेकिन ऐसा नहीं होता है। अगर आप दवाई बंद कर देंगे तो जितने टाइम तक दवाई का असर आपके मरीज के शरीर में है उतने टाइम तक आपका मरीज ठीक रहेगा। लेकिन जैसे जैसे दवाई का असर निकल जाएगा उसके बाद ये संभावना रहती है कि मरीज के लक्षण दोबारा आ सकते हैं। तो इसमें आपको बहुत अच्छे से ध्यान में रखना है कि जब तक आपके डॉक्टर नहीं बताते तब तक आपको दवाई गोली बिल्कुल बंद नहीं करवानी है। और डॉक्टर जब जब आपको मरीज को लेके ओपीडी में दिखाने के लिए बुलाते हैं, आपको मरीज को बराबर से लेके आना है। और अगर कोई दवाई पे आपके मरीज को कुछ तकलीफ हो रही है तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आपको दवाई बंद कर देनी है। आपको डॉक्टर के पास तुरंत जाना है और डॉक्टर को बताना है कि आपके मरीज को दवाई पे ये तकलीफ हो रही है, ताकि वो अपने हिसाब से गोली का डोज एडजस्ट करे या दवाई बदल के दे। लेकिन दवाई तो चलती रहनी चाहिए। दूसरा एक तरीका होता है, कुछ कुछ मरीज होते हैं जो घर पे जाने के बाद दवाई बराबर से नहीं लेते हैं, बहुत चिड़चिड़ करने लग जाते हैं, आप उनको दवाई नहीं दे पाते हैं। तो ऐसे मरीज जिनमें हमको श्योर नहीं होता है कि वो दवाई अच्छे से लेंगे या नहीं, उनमें हम एक इंजेक्शन महीने के महीने का इंजेक्शन शुरू कर सकते हैं। तो इसमें क्या होता है, ये इंजेक्शन सिर्फ महीने में एक ही बार लेना होता है और उसका असर 1 महीने तक शरीर में रहता है। तो अगर आपका मरीज, ये इंजेक्शन दवाई के साथ साथ लेना है, ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ इंजेक्शन लेना है। तो अगर कोई दिन 2-3 दिन आपका मरीज दवाई लेना भूल गया तो भी इंजेक्शन के माध्यम से जो दवाई हमने दी है उसका असर आपके मरीज के शरीर में रहेगा। उसके अलावा एक तीसरा तरीका होता है ट्रीटमेंट का, जिसको हम इलेक्ट्रोकन्वल्सिव थेरेपी यानी शॉक थेरेपी कहते हैं। तो जैसा आपने फिल्मों में देखा होगा कि बहुत ही हाई पावर का करंट देते हैं, वैसा नहीं होता है। बहुत ही सेफ होता है ये तरीका, और उसमें बहुत ही कम पावर का करंट और बहुत ही कम समय के लिए दिया जाता है, और इस तरीके इसके साइड इफेक्ट भी बहुत कम होते हैं। डॉक्टर्स के देखरेख में ये पूरा प्रोसीजर किया जाता है। इसका ये प्रोसीजर बिल्कुल सेफ है। ये भी हम एक तरीका इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं अगर आपके मरीज के लक्षण बहुत ज्यादा है और हमको जल्दी उसके लक्षण कंट्रोल में लाने हैं। तो ये जो प्रोसीजर होता है, ये हम एक ऑपरेशन थिएटर के सेटिंग में, जहां मानसिक के डॉक्टर, सुन्नी के डॉक्टर, सारा नर्सिंग स्टाफ, सब लोग मौजूद होते हैं, सबकी देखरेख में ये प्रोसीजर किया जाता है। तो ये प्रोसीजर इतना सेफ होता है कि हम ये प्रेग्नेंट औरतों के लिए भी इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं अगर किसी को मानसिक बीमारी है तो। अभी आप जब पेशेंट को घर लेके चले जाएंगे, तो उसके बाद पेशेंट के साथ कैसा बर्ताव करना है घर पे जाके, उसके बारे में मैं आपको थोड़ा बताती हूँ। तो बहुत ज्यादा सख्त नहीं होना है मरीज के साथ कि कुछ भी उसको करने से मना करना है। वो जो करना चाहता है, ये आप ये भी नहीं कर सकते, आप ये भी नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि आप बीमार हो, ऐसा नहीं करना है। और दूसरे साइड उसकी सारी बातें मानना क्योंकि वो बीमार है, ऐसा भी नहीं करना है। एक बीच का रास्ता अपनाना है, जहां आपको थोड़ी उनकी भी सुननी है और थोड़ा अपना भी उनको बताना है। उसके अलावा अगर आप घर जाएंगे, उसके बाद आपको ऐसा नहीं करना है कि मरीज के पास आपने दवाई गोली दे दी और वो अपनी दवाई गोली खुद ले रहा है। ऐसा नहीं करना है। आपको खुद अपने हाथ से मरीज को दवाई देनी है, और जब तक वो आपके सामने ले नहीं लेता तब तक वहां से हिलना नहीं है। तो मरीज की दवाई की जिम्मेदारी आपकी होगी। उसके अलावा अगर आपको ऐसा लगता है कि मरीज आप दवाई नहीं ले रहा है, या दवाई पे होते हुए मरीज को पुराने लक्षण वापस आ रहे हैं, आपको ऐसा लग रहा है कि उसकी तबीयत खराब हो रही है, तो तबीयत और बिगड़ने तक का इंतजार नहीं करना है। आपको तुरंत मरीज को डॉक्टर के पास लेके जाना है और उनको ऐसा बताना है कि ऐसा हो रहा है, ताकि वो सही ट्रीटमेंट शुरू कर सके। तो अभी मैंने ये सब जो आपको बताया है, इसके बाद अगर आपके कोई सवाल है तो आप वो अभी पूछ सकते हैं।
मैडम, अब ये मानसिक बीमारी है, लेकिन मेरे मरीज का एमआरआई ब्रेन रिपोर्ट तो नॉर्मल आया था, तो फिर ये कैसे मानसिक बीमारी हुआ?
इसमें कैसा रहता है ना, कि जो सीटी स्कैन, एमआरआई या जो सारी खून की जांचें हैं, इसमें अगर हमारे शरीर में कोई शारीरिक बीमारी है तो वो हमको इसके माध्यम से दिखाई देती है। जैसे कि अगर एमआरआई में आपके ब्रेन के अगर कोई हिस्से में अगर प्रॉब्लम है, वो छोटा हो गया है या बड़ा हो गया है, तो उसमें आपको एमआरआई में दिखाई देगा। लेकिन जैसा कि मैंने आपको बताया कि मानसिक बीमारी में प्रॉब्लम ये होती है कि रसायन का बैलेंस बिगड़ जाता है। तो ये जो रसायन होते हैं, ये हमको सीटी स्कैन, एमआरआई या खून की जांचों में नहीं दिखाई देते। इसलिए ज्यादातर करके जिन मरीजों को मानसिक बीमारी होती है, उनमें ये सारी जांचें अक्सर नॉर्मल पाई जाती है। इसके बावजूद उनको मानसिक लक्षण होते हैं क्योंकि उनके रसायन में बैलेंस बिगड़ जाता है।
प्रेगनेंसी के टाइम ये मरीज सब गोली ले सकते हैं क्या?
तो देखिए कैसा रहता है ना, कि सारी दवाइयाँ जो होती है, उसमें से कुछ कुछ दवाइयाँ होती है जो प्रेगनेंसी में सेफ होती है। तो आपकी जिम्मेदारी है कि अगर आपका पेशेंट प्रेगनेंसी प्लान कर रहा है, तो आप जो भी डॉक्टर के पास उनको लेके जाते हैं, आपको उनको बताना है कि हमारे मरीज को ये दवाई चल रही है और हम अभी इनकी प्रेगनेंसी प्लान कर रहे हैं। तो डॉक्टर फिर उस हिसाब से उनकी दवाई में बदलाव करके डोज एडजस्ट करके दे देंगे। तो जैसा कि मैंने आपको बताया कि प्रेगनेंसी अपने आप में ही एक तान तनाव वाला परिस्थिति होता है। तो इसमें अगर हम दवाई गोली बंद कर देंगे ये सोच के कि बच्चे के लिए सेफ नहीं होता है, तो ये बीमारी के लक्षण बढ़ने के चांसेस रहते हैं। तो इसलिए हम आपकी जिम्मेदारी ये है कि आपको डॉक्टर के पास जाके सही दवाई प्रेगनेंसी में भी कंटिन्यू करनी है। तो ये सारी जो मैंने आपको जानकारी दी है, इसके बाद आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे इसके बारे में?
तो आपके बातचीत के बाद काफी नई जानकारी पता चली है जो इस बीमारी के बारे में नहीं पता थी, और काफी डाउट्स भी क्लियर हुए हमारे जो हमें थे।
तो देखिए कैसा है ना, कि ये सेशन जो है वो कंडक्ट करने का हेतु यही है कि जैसे अभी हम डॉक्टर तो सारे लोगों तक नहीं पहुंच सकते हैं, तो हम आपको ये जानकारी इसीलिए देते हैं ताकि जब जहां भी आप रहते हैं, जो भी मोहल्ले में, जो भी समाज में, वहां अगर आपको कोई इंसान में ऐसे लक्षण दिखाई देते हैं, तो आप उनके घर वालों को अच्छे से गाइड कर पाए कि इसके आगे आपको क्या करना चाहिए, आपको डॉक्टर के पास लेके जाना चाहिए।
On the basis of the following points, we can score this OSCE examination. That is history taking of the patient's caregiver, rapport development with the caregiver, providing insight into the illness, do's and don'ts for the caregiver, and taking feedback from the caregiver.
I would like to request our faculty if they can score this video based on the points. Just a minute. Ma'am, I have shared the scoring sheet. I'll also share it here. Dr. Ved, can you share the scoring on the screen, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I request Dr. Ritamara ma'am and Smita ma'am to kindly score the video. After that, we'll continue with the discussion.
Uh, Madam, you start or I start?
No, ma'am, you please go ahead.
Okay. For like, I mean, yeah, it was a what can I say? Because you have put us as examiner here, because we are here. So, I mean, you could have shared this first, because that's what is done usually.
Sorry.
Said that we know that what is the task, what is the aim
Yes,
of
madam.
the whole
Ritambara ma'am,
exercise, and what
the
are the
content, Ritambara ma'am, content is not important. Students should
yes.
just know the process. So you can go
Yeah,
ahead
yeah,
with the
that's why,
process.
that's why I'm saying, sir. So usually, I'll show at the end, maybe the whole sheet is seen, that what are the instructions given to the actors and how they are trained and prepared, and what is the task given to the student, and then these kind of checklist. This is a scoring sheet or called checklist given to the examiners, and even the marks here, it says 10 marks each, and each part, see, unless and until the student is given the instructions very clearly. See, here the first point I would say is a history taking of the patient's caregiver. Now, I don't know whether I missed this, but there was no history taking as such, right?
Yeah.
So when actually preparing the OSCE, we have to be very, very particular and specific, because a student must be given a very specific task. Unless until you tell this student that you have to take the history, then only she or he will start with the history. And in 10 minutes, taking history is not at all possible. So you have to give away a lot of details, that patient's history is taken, patient has so much of positive symptoms or these negative symptoms, or patient is adherent or not, or patient is this. So now, I, from this video, I felt is that this person who the student was actually educating these caregivers about probably schizophrenia as an illness in a very generic, a very general manner, right? Even that can be made very specific, that you have to give information only about ECT because the patient is not responding to the medication, or only about the side effects, that the patient is exposed to this particular drug, and now person is having maybe risperidone and his hyper prolactinemia is giving her some galacturia, etc., and now what to do to discuss something. So it has to be very, very specific. Such these kind of very general discussions, very difficult for the student to carry out, because the student does not know what exactly am I supposed to do. So even with the specific instructions, we have to train our students that you have to be very specific. Instructions already given, so you don't have to go back. Already when the person is schizophrenia, you don't have to establish the diagnosis again. So I am lost here, that the task you have given is psychoeducation of caregiver, but in your checklist you have given history taking of patient's caregiver. Ensuring the basic knowledge, myths, misconceptions regarding the illness. But here the student actually went on, so rather than actually eliciting the information from the caregiver, that what are his or her understandings of the illness, what do they, so there, that's where I may not be able to score here, because the I think the student has not gone on to these things, understanding the questions of the caregiver regarding the illness. So the first thing, the student, you said they are supposed to get the basic knowledge of what is understanding of the caregiver. So unless until you give that specific instruction to the student, they'll not carry it out. So that's what happened here.
Yes, I
So
agree.
yes, madam.
Yes,
So
I agree. Yes, ma'am,
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. So the student went on and on and on. And see, clinically, we don't do this unless and until we really pause with every information, get some understanding that whether the caregiver, whoever is the person in front has understood or not. So much of details bombarded on the caregiver, where the caregiver will be lost. So the student is also talking about the cause and why the illness and the management part. So it's not the student's fault. I'm not saying that this is a student's fault. The OSCEs have to be very focused and very, very narrow, and instructions have to be so narrow that we can actually get depth of the students' knowledge and the communication interview skills, or the ultimate education impartation. Then the second part, rapport development, etc. Madam, you want to say something? I've
Yes.
talked so much.
Yes, I totally agree with madam. I think the case vignette is is important, that the student should know what he's supposed to do, because in this scoring sheet they will score 0 on first part, second
Yeah.
part,
Yeah.
third. Only they have done only the providing insight or one-sided just information about illness. She talked about etiology, signs and symptoms, ECTs, supervised medications, early warning signs, and it was very general, like a didactic lecture. First 5 minutes of the 8 minutes was very one-sided. This is not the way OSCE is done. So it has to be, the case vignette has to be very clear that the patient has 15 years schizophrenia and is facing family issues because of lack of insight, or there is high expressed emotions in the mother, something like that. And so you are supposed to do the psychoeducation related to expressed emotions. So here I agree with madam. The student did only just general psychoeducation, all the points and bombarding of information. So it will, we cannot score on this because it was not done. The question, as we say, question is very important before you evaluate the answer. So here the question was not clear to the student, what he's supposed to do. It was very general psychoeducation which was done. And at the end, they just asked 1 or 2 questions. So OSCEs are supposed to be, when we talk about psychoeducation or any therapeutic interaction with patient or family, it has to be give and take. You have to introduce yourself, and it starts with basic things like we use in, I am Dr. So and so, I have been told that your patient has schizophrenia and I would like to know what you know about it. And so from there it goes on like that. So OSCEs have to be like that. That's what
Yes,
I
and yes, and at the end, she did whatever was told to her, but at the end, of course, she did ask some more, some concern from the caregiver and all. But every OSCE, as it is very focused, at the end there is always one section in the checklist summarizing and whether the person in front, caregiver or patient, has understood or not, and have understood their concerns based on the education, if it is psychoeducation provided them, they have understood it or not, and ultimately what is the total understanding. So there, that summary part and winding up, what we call, at the end, every patient coming to our clinic, ultimately we come to this, that they have understood something, and then we have shared understanding, and some decision is taken, or whatever, some understanding is transpired. So at the end there has to be the one section there. Yeah, so a very
Thank you.
difficult thing to. And the total
Yes, ma'am.
scoring is the global rating. That's something which you have written total score out of 50. But usually the OSCE checklists have these 5, or maybe sometimes we go even beyond that. I'll show you my sheets if there is time. There we go to 8, 10 sections also, if there are smaller details you want to catch, and then a score on that. And the last one part is always global rating. The global rating scale is, all these sections are okay, but overall, what is the subjective assessment of the examiner? And there will be 4 examiners, so for each one there is a scope of global rating, right? So, and you have written feedback. This feedback is not rated as such. So feedback is for the formative assessments. We do give feedbacks, right? But here I don't know whether you mean feedback of the consultant to role to the caregiver. So you have to be very specific in the checklist also what exactly the examiner is supposed to assess.
Thank you so much, both the faculty members, for sharing your very keen insights and very important insights on the OSCE. Ma'am, would you like to ask like to tell any particular questions pertaining to psychoeducation and non-pharmacological management of schizophrenia or substance use disorder that can be part of that could come in the OSCEs? Any questions that you would like?
Oh, like, I mean, there's so much. This, as madam gave some many examples, as I also gave examples, like every situation or every scenario can be a different OSCE, starting from psychoeducation of schizophrenia. We can actually start from what causes schizophrenia. You just explain that. That can be one. Starting from their explanation of or giving insight can be one. As I said, management also can be one. So why we want to start medicine, this medicine or not that medicine, these are the options. So which one? Because the one is a female of this age, that age, reproductive age, why this particular medicine or not? Or sometimes midway, that already the person is having some side effect, as I said, some galacturia or something, or hyper. So solving that. Or just we have decided that the person probably needs ECT, so just that ECT related thing. So there are so many aspects in schizophrenia wherein you can psychoeducate your patient. Or the patient is pregnant already, now what to do, whether to continue the same medication or change over to other, or stop or do what, etc. Or the patient is actually now drug naive and not having any symptoms but has some concerns, the caregiver. So there's so many umpteen number of situations, so you have to be very specific and focused. Madam, if you want to add.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. So, yeah, I think the case vignette has to be very clear about what has to be asked, because there are hardly 5 minutes or 10 minutes as per the protocol. So, in that, you cannot expect that the entire thing will be explained by the doctor to the patient or the relative. So, it has to be very focused, related to either explain the etiology or talk about the family issues, whether the patient is going to need ECTs or clozapine, suppose, what are the pros and cons of using clozapine in a resistant schizophrenia, or lithium prophylaxis in case of mood stabilizer. You are seeing what are the pros and cons, what are the precautions need to be taken. So here we are testing the knowledge of the student, as well as how he imparts that knowledge and uses his clinical skills. So both are tested in OSCE, the knowledge part as well as the clinical skills. So that way, the case vignette, all OSCE stations have a case vignette, and they have to be very particular about it, because it is 5 minutes only. You cannot have the entire thing in 5 minutes. So I think we have covered that already.
Yes. Thank you so much ma'am, for highlighting the importance of the particular aspect that the PG resident has to demonstrate rather than a very general discussion. Dr. Bhavesh sir, sir, would you like to share any opinion? Sir, you have raised your hand, sir. Sir, can you please unmute? Yes.
So, yeah, so I am a regular examiner of DNB. At DNB, they conduct OSCE in their final exams of 100 marks, containing 20 questions, and each question is having 5 marks. And in 5 marks also they have sub marks, like what is the definition, what is the definition of tardive dyskinesia, when tardive dyskinesia happens, which drugs are most probable cause, what is the treatment. So it's a 5 marks. So it is very specific, as both the madam has said, Ansa madam and Rita madam said. So if you cannot be specific, students will not know what they are going to perform, and it is very time specific. Like there is one question within 5 minutes. Like in MRC Psych exam, two of our two of my students have cleared MRC Psych, and they have mentioned that I was not knowing what is they are going through. So in final exams, they have 16 stations, and they have to clear around 14 stations to get the MRC Psych degree. But it is also very specific. So, so they move from one table to another table. So one observer is there in front of them, and one case minute like this thing is there that they have to perform, and the observer will then give the marks. And these people, they practice a lot on online with other countries and students, because MRC Psych examination is not very easy to pass, because uh, for them patient safety is more important rather than doing more very much clinical things. So this is what I wanted to
Yes,
say.
sir. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your opinion. Yes, as ma'am also, both the faculties also highlighted that there are very peculiar points like administering a LAI, maybe clozapine side effects, and a lot of things which can be asked as a single question. Yes. Moving ahead, Dr. Ritambara ma'am, would you like to share your presentation? After that, I'll proceed with the second video.
Sure.
Dr. Ved, kindly stop sharing your screen.
Yes, sir.
Can you see now?
No, ma'am.
I- Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I just give credit to an AI based tool called Notebook LM. I had my slides. I gave to this Notebook LM, and it has done such beautiful graphics. Content wise, I did, but graphics was added by that. So thank you to all these AI things. Is
Ma'am,
this?
if you could make it full screen, ma'am. Or
Yeah. Is it?
Not yet? No.
Madam, start the slideshow.
I have started slideshow. On me, it is
No.
slideshow.
Okay.
It is screen. Madam, do it.
Ma'am, it's okay, ma'am. I'll share it, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Now?
when you share on Zoom, you'll have to share it as share entire screen. Only then your slideshow will be visible.
Okay.
Ma'am,
I'll
I'll share it, ma'am. It's
entire
okay, ma'am.
screen. No,
Ha,
I'll
ha.
share entire
Okay.
screen.
Okay, ma'am.
Entire screen. But I'm not able to share my entire screen. It only says you can share window, not entire screen. Now I can. Let's see now if it's possible. Now?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
But then I can't see myself or others. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So, as we have discussed most of things, I'll just move very fast. These are very basic, but where I want to stop and discuss, we'll do that because otherwise it will take a lot of time. So, OSCEs it's a bridge actually taking the knowledge to the competence and competency based medical education. And these are the areas wherein, especially in psychiatry, we actually make OSCEs other than history taking and MSc, management planning, any diagnostic formulations, also risk assessments like suicide or violence, etc. Communication, as we discussed, the psychoeducation. All these are areas wherein we actually make OSCEs for. And we also discussed this, that formative assessments have low stakes and they are feedback oriented and learning focused. That means the students are given feedback at the end of it, that see, this is what is good, this is what is not good, you can delve deeper into these aspects, the content, etc., etc. So all these you can do in formative assessment, and every 3 months or 6 months or so we must do that. And what we do is, in our institute, every 6 months we give examination. They also give theory, but other than that, OSCEs, at least 2 OSCEs every student goes through, and we give good feedback to them. And summative, as I said, Nimhans does it, Manipal does it. Manipal paper I'll discuss little later, right? So as we again all discuss all these, that there are many specific, very focused, small areas which actually every station must have, so that every station is not overloaded. As we said, that in 5-10 minutes it's possible. It has to be very realistic clinical scenarios. There has to be very clear, unambiguous instructions to the candidate. So the candidate, we also sometimes say that you don't have to take the history is already given here, now you do this only. Yeah, so that kind of clarity has to be there, and time has to be there too, right? So many people use standardized patients. Actual patients are not used in OSCEs because of various reasons, because the patients and the real caregivers don't know what is going on, etc. So it has to be scripted very well. So what we do is, actually we train our internees, because internees have some postings. At the end of the posting only we give them these roles, so they actually are also given homework to do some reading, etc., about whichever case scenario. We decide on the case scenarios first, that these are the 12 case scenarios we have to actually do for this particular examination. So every intern is given their case scenario depending on their choice, that I want to take case of depression or schizophrenia or side effects or these or that, all that. Case vignettes are very clear given to them, and we discuss with these internees that what is this aiming at, because interns have some exposure, and our medical students are actually good students. Sometimes we keep 2 or 3 also as family members, etc. So roles are very finely defined. So acting also, we actually make them enact and also give inputs, that depending on the levels we do it differently with R1, R2s and R3s. R1s usually it's more of history taking, eliciting, etc., and second year onwards some management issues, and later on in the clinical competencies we go on. So that way also these standardized patients are actually trained. In the countries, we also have video recorded things also. And Manipal, as I said, they are using some actors. They have been in touch with some acting association, and these actors are trained there. When I was examiner in Nimhans, they train their social work, nursing, and psychology students and all. But many a times, unless until we train them very effectively, there are some issues, because many a times, even in Nimhans examination, I gave overall feedback to them that unless and until the this actor is actually has to be very realistic, they can't take here Nimhans ka student hai, so or every time saying yes I understand, it may not be the real scenario, in life. So that way, how to make it more realistic and more consistent? Sometimes two informations are not matching. Once the student is asking, this actor is giving some information, but they are not very consistent in their overall picture. So that also has to be taken care of when we are using these standardized patients. So the language proficiency, etc., also have to be checked. And when, as we discussed, that the instructions and the checklists have to be given to the examiners. Many a times it is also necessary that before actually starting the examination, we do some inter-rater reliability kind of exercise also among the examiners, so that they understand what exactly these checklist scores mean, and etc. So that actually gives more authenticity and objectivity to the exam, because all the examiners are also on the same page kind of. And as I said that the last scoring is a global rating scale, wherein it is the overall impression and the clinical judgment of the expert and overall rating of the examiner himself. And that if you have two examiners or four examiners, you can combine these scores also. That also can be done, and ultimate score can be achieved for these students. So this also these are only some case studies I put, said that just a risk assessment of the suicide. Many a times the task can be that on a risk assessment scale for suicide there are many, or let's say suicide intent scale. So you can also give even a student may not know the whole scale also, but you give a small score sheet on the scale also, and you can say that just administer this scale on this patient. So these kind of exercises also make it very clear, many a times a movement scale. So the student has to examine the patient and administer maybe aims or any other such scale. So that makes it very very specific. And yes, so for mental status examination you can be very specific. That means not whole of MSc, just a thought content, just the delusional aspect, or only the insight, or only the perceptual disturbance, some things like that, which again the standardized patient is given a lot of details about that, what all things. Suppose there is a persecutory delusion, then the student has to actually, the person has to elicit all the vectors, that how strongly it is held, and etc etc, you all know. So that's how the case scenarios are made, the instructions are given, and the assessment or the scoring also is done. So multiple stations train, of course, yes. And for the summative or formative, as I said, for formative, effective feedback is very very essential, right? So all that I have discussed. So there must not be design flaws, as we discussed, because otherwise it all becomes very vague, and even student doesn't understand what is supposed to do. Examiner also is at a loss that what the student is doing here, what we are going to score, the student has not done only. So these are the common pitfalls of this execution flaws. May as I said, standardized patients have to be trained, because inconsistencies in acting, execution, etc., can actually, there may be a problem with the student. So the student gets very puzzled. "Ki, what is happening? This person is not answering or understanding, etc." Right. So and the checklist for the examiners also. Right. So I think that's where I'll end. The standardized OSCEs can be actually part of your assessment. I would not say that it can be your full summative assessment, because it can lead to a lot of other problems. But OSCE is a very good method, and it's actually gives us that the student shows how to do it, and ultimately it can also to the level of does, because in OSCEs the person is actually doing it. So that's a good thing. This is a paper I discussed by Manipal. They have gone into the details how they have formed the OSCEs, and how they have trained their actors, and what were the challenges, etc. And ultimately how they are conducting summative examination in postgraduate. uh, with OSCEs. But again, they are saying there is only 20 marks. Rest of the marks are based on other practical, long case, short cases, etc., and theory. Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So basically, OSCE does focus on application of the practical and clinical skills. And as ma'am told that for various years of MD residency, there can be various OSCE stations, focus, history taking, mental status examination component for the first years, communication in counseling, risk assessment and management could be there for the second years, procedural techniques, data and case vignettes interpretation, and obviously prescription and documentation. These are all various OSCE stations which can obviously be kept for the exams. I'll proceed with the second video for the OSCE demonstration. This video is prepared by the postgraduate students of IGGMC Indira Gandhi Medical College, Nagpur. A special mention to Dr. Romesh sir and Dr. Pranjali ma'am, who have been really instrumental in helping us with the videos. Ma'am, this is the scoring sheet. The topic is demonstration of RTMS. So basically, if we talk about in general, we need to explain the indication and rationale for using TMS. We need to obtain a informed consent and perform basic procedural steps and safety precaution, inform them. Selection of the patient criteria and also management expectation and the side effect counseling.
Can you beforehand tell us
Yes, ma'am.
that is the student given the case scenario that this is the case, these were the management plans, and why this? I mean, ultimately the RTMS to be
Ma'am,
introduced or something like.
this is basically explaining the patient that now he has to do RTMS, or the psychiatrist is suggesting him the RTMS, ma'am. So
I
it is not.
understand,
Yes, ma'am.
but in which patient? There can be all kinds of diagnosis, right?
Yes,
In
ma'am.
Ma'am,
which you can.
can I speak?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. The students were told that this is the patient of this. They have to elicit the history in very brief, and they have
Which
to decide
patient of what?
depression, ma'am.
Depression.
And they have elicited it in very brief because the time slot was only 5 minutes, and then they have decided whether what to do.
Yeah, this is where we are actually coming in. That the student does not have to do elicitation, etc. The student already knows that the case of depression, they also may have these, that you are tried on these medications, you had only this much response, you're not responding well, and so we are adding on this particular another modality of treatment. It's all this is to be given to the student. Henceforth, the student can actually go on to do all this. And you have said demonstration of RTMS. The
Yes, ma'am.
demonstration is something very different.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the points which have been mentioned in this scoring sheet is not showing the demonstration.
Yes.
Taking history,
Yes,
explaining
ma'am.
the procedure, performing the procedure fine, patient selection and prior procedure. Because demonstration is key. How RTMS machine is there, what he is going to do, where he is going to fix the electrodes. If you mean that by demonstration of RTMS.
Ma'am, it was shown with the machine, but the procedure was not done. It was just verbally told that this we will do. We will place electrode here and like that.
Okay, so I think the scoring sheet needs to be a bit different, because what kind of instructions you have given to the student, based on that. Otherwise, they won't score on this. So
Right,
anyway,
right,
let's
right,
go ahead. Let's see the video and then we will come back.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir. So, Dr. Sakshi, here is this patient. You have to assess this patient and tell me whether he will be requiring an RTMS or not. Okay, sir. Hello, I'm Dr. Sakshi.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you increase the volume?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, it's full. It's to the maximum, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
And मुझे सर ने बताया कि आपको कुछ तकलीफ हो रही है. क्या तकलीफ है आपको? मेरा मन उदास रहता है और रात को नींद नहीं आती है. अच्छा. और क्या क्या तकलीफ होती है आपको? और जैसे पूरा दिन बेचैनी रहती है, घर से बाहर निकलने का मन नहीं करता, ऐसा ही लगता है कि घर पे बैठा रहो।
अच्छा, ये जो आपको उदासीनता लगती है ये दिन में ज्यादातर टाइम लगती है क्या?
हाँ, मतलब पूरा दिन ही ऐसा लगता है।
अच्छा, और ये सब आपको कब से हो रहा है?
ये पिछले 5-6 महीनों से ऐसा लगातार हो रहा है।
इस चीज के लिए आपने कभी ट्रीटमेंट लिया है?
हाँ, मतलब 2-3 महीने पहले दवाइयाँ ली थी, लेकिन उससे नींद बहुत आती थी, तो फिर मैंने दवाइयाँ बीच में ही छोड़ दी।
आप ये सब जो सिम्टम्स मुझे बता रहे हैं इस पर से मुझे लग रहा है कि आपको डिप्रेशन नाम की बीमारी है। हम एक काम कर सकते हैं कि हम आपको गोलियां स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं, उसके साथ साथ हमारे यहाँ पे एक प्रोसीजर अवेलेबल है जिसका नाम है RTMS। हम वो प्रोसीजर भी आपको दे सकते हैं। वो प्रोसीजर के पहले मुझे आपसे कुछ सवाल पूछने पड़ेंगे, ठीक है? जैसे कि आपको कभी पहले मेदी का दौरा आया है?
नहीं।
आपके शरीर में कभी कोई मेटालिक इम्प्लांट जैसे कि रॉड या पेसमेकर बिठाया गया है?
नहीं, ऐसा भी कुछ नहीं।
अच्छा, ये जो RTMS नाम की प्रोसीजर होती है इसमें हम मैग्नेटिक पल्सेस अप्लाई करते हैं। ये कोई शॉक या कोई इन्वेजिव प्रोसीजर नहीं रहती है। ये सिर्फ हम एक जो कॉइल है वो स्कैल्प पे बिठाते हैं और हम मैग्नेटिक पल्स ब्रेन को देते हैं, जिससे कि आपके डिप्रेशन के सिम्टम्स में काफी इंप्रूवमेंट आती है। ये जो RTMS का प्रोसीजर है ये कम से कम 20 से 30 मिनट के लिए चलता है। 4 से 5 बार इन अ वीक आपको आना पड़ेगा ये प्रोसीजर के लिए, और 20 सेशंस रहेंगे इसके। और इसके एंडिंग में आपका इम्प्रूवमेंट देखा जाएगा कि आपके डिप्रेशन में कितना इम्प्रूवमेंट आया है, ठीक है? ये प्रोसीजर स्टार्ट करने से पहले मुझे आपसे एक कंसेंट फॉर्म भरवाना पड़ेगा, आपसे और आपके रिलेटिव से भी। तो ये कंसेंट फॉर्म भरवाने के बाद हम ये प्रोसीजर स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं। पर ये प्रोसीजर के दौरान कुछ साइड इफेक्ट्स भी हो सकते हैं, जैसे कि आपको थोड़ा डिस्कम्फर्ट हो सकता है स्कैल्प को, या उसके बाद आपको थोड़ा हेडेक भी हो सकता है। पर ये इतने कॉमन साइड इफेक्ट्स है नहीं, ठीक है? तो हम कंसेंट फॉर्म भरवा सकते हैं आपसे और आपके रिलेटिव से, और उसके बाद ये प्रोसीजर स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं। चलेगा?
So, Dr. Sakshi, you have decided that this patient requires an RTMS sessions.
Yes, sir.
So, can you explain in brief about the procedure?
Yes, sir. So this is the RTMS machine and this is the figure of 8 coil. We will place this coil on the left DLPFC as patient is diagnosed case of depression. We will place the coil on the prefrontal cortex and then we will see for the motor threshold on the finger as well as on the face. We will see if there is a twitch. And if there is a twitch, then we will calculate the motor threshold by taking into consideration the resting motor threshold that we have just seen. By doing 110 to 120% of the resting motor threshold, we will get the motor threshold. Once we get the motor threshold, we will move the coil 5 cm anterior to the position. And then, as per the protocol, which I have applied as per the patient's profile, it is already fit in the machine, we will start the RTMS session. During the session, I will monitor if patient is having any discomfort with the scalp. And then, if there is any, then I will reassess it. Plus, these sessions which are there are for 4 to 5 sessions in a week. 20 sessions are generally there for seeing the improvement in the symptoms of depression, and these sessions last for nearly 20 to 30 minutes. So then we will start the sessions.
As you have explained the procedure about RTMS, can you please tell me how you are going to monitor this patient?
Yes, sir. Sir, after the procedure, I will see for any side effects like headache, or if any untoward side effect like seizure is happening, then I will discontinue the procedure. Plus, I will assess the depression of the patient by using the scales like handy at the start of the first session and at the end of 20 sessions. That way, we know how much improvement is there in the symptoms of depression. Okay, sir?
Yes, sir. It's okay, ma'am. We can we'll take your inputs, ma'am, regarding the demonstration. Based on the questions, it was not totally there, but ma'am, definitely both the faculty can give your inputs, ma'am.
Okay. So again, okay, we will leave apart the case vignette part, but because it was not the main part was the demonstration. History was very superficially taken about some signs and symptoms of depression, and then immediately RTMS was offered. which is not the usual case. RTMS is mostly for resistant depression. So that was not established in that protocol at least. Or otherwise, the interview could have started at that level. Ki, okay, since you have depression for last 10 years, you have tried all the medications, and now, so that shows the rationale for RTMS. So that's what we are trying to see in OSCE, whether the student is able to understand the rationale behind any treatment they are offering, and then the procedure. But since it was demonstration, then we will only score the demonstration. Again, here it was more explanation of the process, RTMS, rather than actually doing, ki, okay, what I am doing. And it should ideally would have been the key, okay, first I will do this, then this, then this, and this. So that's fine. So it was more about consent and the procedure which was explained. Uh, so, in OSCE, it can be just based on questions also, and it can be based on the demonstration part also. Like many times, what OSCEs are done in many our universities, or sometimes there are a set of questions or a video is shown, and then you are supposed to give answers to 5. But ideal OSCE stations are where, like Ritambra madam said, the patient and relative or the actor or the who are there, they will be talking about what is going on, and then the person has to do the specific task which has been given in the OSCE. So this was fine. As for any overall global rating will be 3 out of 5 if you want to give for the demonstration explanation. Ma'am, Ritambra ma'am.
Yes, I fully agree with you, ma'am. Yes, the demonstration was good. Usually in OSCEs, the examiners do not intervene. They do not ask questions because the task and instructions are already there. What to do? They're only observers as such. But Dr. Gawande is writing, the students, we are not actually telling all this to make you worry or anything. OSCEs, how they are done, as you are doing in your clinics. Only thing is you have to be very specific and understand the instructions. Dr. Rajat Oswal has already shared in your chat one checklist for the station is a psychiatric safety assessment. So go through that, and if you want me to share some of them, I already have some OSCEs, and if you just want to see, I'll share the screen, and you'll be able to see. Can you see?
Yeah.
So see, psychoeducation of bipolar 1 disorder. So a lot of instruction is already given. Actor also is given a lot of instruction. Out of the 20 mark scale for the rapport, greeting, etc., we only give 1 marks. Because many other people give more value to this greeting, rapport, etc. But what I feel is that it's like a call center. No, sometimes to Nimans also I gave feedback. See, like a call center. Hello, how are you? I'm so and so. How are you doing? I'm here to help you. Confidence. All this becomes, in a jiffy students learn. But unless and until their knowledge actually transpires and gets executed into their behavior, questioning, elicitation, or whatever the task is, or education, so we give low marks to these rapport and winding up. Yes, maybe you can give more marks, and then very specific things what the person is doing, that's how the marks are given. Yeah, this is like starting lithium. So already the person is given that the person has bipolar. You don't have to, 2 episodes are already there in the past, and now lithium is to be started. So now only lithium education, so you are starting. So what are the benefits, risk, etc., initiation, pre-testing, etc., blood test, etc., precautions, etc., even pregnancy, because she is a woman, so whether the person is asking for that or not. So this is how the scoring sheet also goes, right? So I hope you get some understanding. This is drugs in pregnancy. Now this 25-year-old female has come. Already she's on valproate, she's a bipolar case, and now she's planning pregnancy. So discuss advantages and disadvantages of these medications. And your score sheet also actually, assesses all that only and nothing else. So I hope that clarifies. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing the case scenarios. Ma'am, this just was an attempt of giving an example how OSCE can be taken. The video demonstration were not the actual OSCEs. So thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing those key insights and also for sharing the case scenarios with the PG residents. Ma'am,
What we can do is
yes, ma'am.
actually, as in the West Zone, and if the teachers come forward, we all can exchange these OSCEs, whoever is taking, and you can have a bank of OSCEs, and even we can even do it further. Sometimes for 15 years, I have been doing OSCEs as a formative assessment, and every time I have also my APs also are into it. Sometimes I overlook there, and there also during OSCEs also we give, you see, this kind of a score sheet can be changed little bit
Yes,
here or there or to the actors. So every time there is a refinement of these OSCE stations at my place also. So, and many new areas actually we can bring in using the videos or so many other things now with AI and this digital platform. So many things are possible. Yeah.
Definitely, ma'am. With your expertise, I hope Shushi sir and the Psychiatric Society West Zone, we would like to conduct more sessions on specifically based OSCE sessions.
Yeah, but I think in the discussion there was going on that this is just one part of the exam, and that
Yes,
has to
ma'am.
be remembered.
Yes. This will not cover the whole. So whole summative examination is never only OSCEs.
Yeah, and we should always remember in most of the exams we have two internal examiners and two external examiners, and the role of internal examiners is that only that because they have seen the student for the entire 3 years, and so OSCEs are supposed to be totally non-biased. That same scenario is given to all the students, and they are objectively assessed how they perform on the specific skill set. Whereas when we go into the long case, how the history taking, MSc, treatment formulation, and everything, because finally, when we are passing the student, it is based more on whether this person can go in the society and perform independent psychiatric practice, do rational treatment, and first do no harm principle is everywhere applied. So for that, we need long cases and the short cases or the table viva. In that, I think 50 marks somewhere will be taken care of in the OSCEs as gradually, like in Maharashtra MUHS gives or whatever universities are practicing. And so that will help the objective part, and the some help from the internal examiners are often needed because we have had students, very good students, who have performed very poorly at the cross sectional exam. So there we feel sometimes as senior examiners we have to look into that. Finally, the day performance on the day is definitely important, but we have to also take care of the other aspects. So for that, we will always have the summative assessment, a combination of OSCE and the long cases.
If you all can look at the chat, I have been looking. Sri Lakshmi also is giving very good inputs that
Yes.
the people conducting OSCEs have to do a lot of work. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
It's the teachers who really have to prepare themselves so well. So that's training the standardized patients, making the case scenario, making the checklist, etc. It really requires very finer details. And I would ask the students that every smallest situation which we face in clinics can be actually it's like an OSCE, in real life also. So you all must practice that in this particular scenario with these kind of details. Patient is only schizophrenia, but there are 100 such situations we can actually face in real life practice. So every such 100 scenarios can be your OSCE station. So there can be such finer details, and we all have to keep on practicing that. What are the things? Rajat Oswal is also writing that there's something called critical fail. So all the examiners agree that a patient of suicide or depression, and you have not asked the suicidal ideation, that definitely means that the student cannot reach the critical pass criteria, so will fail. So there has to be, every situation will have these things. You have to ask these things. These are very basic, very important, and very critical things. So that's all. Otherwise, there is nothing to actually be afraid of. OSCEs are very, if you have actually worked well in 3 years with your patients and the families, I think no one usually fails in OSCEs. Yes.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. I thank both the faculties for sharing their such an keen insights on OSCE and its future role and its importance in the future MD secretary exams. Dr. Sushil sir, sir, any comments from you, sir?
Yes, Dhruv, let me take this opportunity to thank Smita and Ritambara ma'am for sparing your time and giving expert opinions about on this topic. Uh, if students who have attended this are aware about one new terminology, that is OSCE, I think the purpose of this session has been solved. This was just orientation that there is one newer method of assessment, that's OSCE. So, as I have written in the chat box, please talk to your teachers, tell them about this session. They will also get motivated. And suppose in every institute, if they start working on this, slowly we will have a bank of OSCE stations. We can communicate with each other, share with each other, and slowly this system will be a good system for formative assessment in part completion test. So thank you, everyone, all students, faculty, and the moderator for doing wonderful job. And my special thanks to Romesh and Pranjali for preparing those videos. I told them to prepare the raw videos, means whatever you understand about the OSCE, let them be full of mistakes, let them be full of grossness, so that we will have a good discussion about the better part of that, and we should be able to understand what deficiencies are there. So thank you, Pranjali and Romesh, for taking efforts to prepare the videos, and thank everyone. Over to Drone.
Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of the Psychiatric Society of West Zone and PG Secretary Education Committee, I sincerely thank our president, sir, our chairperson, advisors, our convener, and the entire PG Education Committee, and especially our distinguished faculty, Dr. Ritambara ma'am and Dr. Smita ma'am, for their sparing their time and really giving us insightful information regarding the OSCEs in exam. Especially the postgraduates. I would also like to thank the postgraduate students of IGGMC and NKP, SIMS, and LMH Nagpur for their efforts in making these two videos. If I get 2 to 3 minutes, I'll just show the slides of recent advances in psychiatry in the last year. I'll not go in detail. I think we are overshooting. We have already overshooted the time. So I'll be real quick. So the slides will be there in the video, and I hope the students can see it from there. So lumateperone in major depressive disorder, it has been approved to be used as an adjunct or as an as an add-on to with a comparison. It is initially introduced for only bipolar depression, but now it can be used as an adjunctive in major depressive disorder. Risperidone LAI, everybody knows, has been approved as a monotherapy and as an adjunctive therapy for bipolar 1 along with lithium and valproate. The S-ketamine has been approved as monotherapy in depression. We are all aware of that. There is a new drug called cyclobenzaprine. It is a sublingual drug and it is a non-opioid medication which targets the sleep-link central sensitization in fibromyalgia. Has now been approved by FDA. Mebufotenin benzoate is received a breakthrough therapy for depression, and it is a serotonergic tryptamine drug. No antipsychotics are no longer our first choice in depression in treating delirium. I'm sorry. This was one of the recent papers which has given us the guideline. Also, the benzodiazepine tapering guideline has, there is a very small and gradual reduction with about 5 to 10% every 2 to 4 weeks. Initially, it was 25% every 2 weeks. Now it is more focused and more lowering, more smaller dose reductions have been approved for treating for the benzodiazepine tapering. Also, use of clozapine has to be. We also know that clozapine is the magic drug, and yes, keeping aside the side effect, we can increase the use of clozapine, as it has shown it is a very good drug. Viloxazine has been approved as a non-stimulant medication for ADHD with lactating women, and one important thing I think it will help the postgraduate is the first blood-based diagnostic test for Alzheimer's disease, the Lumipulse G, which measures the phosphorylated tau and the beta amyloid in the plasma. And yes, these 2 slides will be there. Obviously, we are aware of the orexin drugs, the Ramborexant and Selvorexant. However, they are costly, but they are a new target in management of depression. And yes, just wanted to highlight the GLP-1. There is a lot of talk about Ozempic. We are all aware. So there is a lot of indications about suicide. There is a lot of talk about Ozempic and the suicide. So I have just put the disorder, summarized the disorder and the role of GLP agonist drugs in psychiatric disorders. The slides will be there. I won't take much of your time. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Also, I thank the faculty and thank you, Dr. Sushil sir, for giving me this opportunity once again.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you very
Good day,
much.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.